What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today presented by Fan Arts. My name is Tom Leuthner. If you are new here, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you guys want me to cover anything. If you guys are back, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for supporting. Apologies for the missed episode, but things get tough sometimes, so it's always hard to get the daily episodes out, but I'm trying my best, and I want to get back to the Timberwolves game before we talk about the upcoming Bulls game, which is going to be, I think, a good game because you're playing a top team in the Eastern Conference, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to start off with Tim Hardaway Jr. Now, if you guys have been following the channel, I've been constantly saying Tim Hardaway Jr. should start over Cam Johnson, and I still feel that is true. And I know, hear me out now. 23 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 6 for 8 shooting from the field, 5 for 6 shooting from the three-point line, 6 for 6 from the free throw line, 0 turnovers. He was a plus 18 in the box score, 1 block, 0 steals. How could you not love this guy? Like, he's been in the role before where he's starting. I know it was a little bit tougher for Peyton Watson, who ended up finishing the game pretty well. 12-3 and 0, 5 for 11 shooting, 0 for 1 from the three-point line, 1 steal, 2 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover, 3 fouls. Tim Hardaway Jr. also didn't foul a single time when he was in that starting lineup. I think that he has been the biggest addition to the Nuggets thus far. Valanciunas is an awesome pickup. I think that he contributes off the bench, something that we've needed. And I've continued to say this the entire offseason. If you were following the channel, the one thing I said, you need a center that could just give you like 5 and 8. That's all you need. Just a guy who could back up Jokic and grab the rebounds. And that was my biggest concern. The scoring off the bench is another story. But if you have somebody who can grab rebounds, that was Denver's biggest problem. I feel like there was no rebounding, especially when you lost MPJ. And you added in a bunch of shorter guys. And Bruce showed last night that he can go ahead and get rebounds, but he was insanely inefficient from the field. So that's another story. But like I said, I'll get to that in a second. But Valanciunas has been a big addition, but Tim Hardaway Jr. is easily the biggest addition on this team, right? You have the bench rebounding in Valanciunas, but now you have the bench scoring. And you know what? When Cam comes back, you could play him off the bench now, or you could just put Peyton Watson back on the bench, start Cam again, keep Tim Hardaway Jr. in that starting role, right? And you know, I was listening to the broadcast, and they were saying the one thing that Tim Hardaway Jr. provides to this team in the starting lineup that CB doesn't is a knockdown, deadly shooter, and it really drew the defense to him. Like, I just think that he is somebody who is a monster. You miss one shot the entire game from outside the arch, and you know you miss 1-3. Missed 2 shots the entire game. 6 shots, 23 points. Same amount of points as Aaron Gordon, same amount of points as Jamal Murray. Like, Jamal Murray took 22 shots. And Tim Hardaway took 8 and had the same amount of points. So you cannot tell me that this guy is not the biggest addition for Denver so far this offseason. I love Bruce, and I think that there's still going to be some more moves. But I do think that Tim Hardaway Jr. is the biggest addition and the best player so far that we've seen Denver pick up in a while. I think he might be a little bit better than KCP. Hot take. But offensively, KCP's defense from the perimeter is obviously, you know, top tier. But offensively, he's definitely one of the biggest players that we've ever seen Denver get in the offseason. Now, I think that this is a game that proved so much for this Denver team. I think that this is a game that proved that Denver is officially a legit contender for the championship this year, specifically because your bench didn't contribute an insane amount of points. It put up a good amount of rebounds. You're missing Cam and Christian Brown, who are two like mid to top tier starters in the NBA. Maybe not this year, but in general. And you beat the Timberwolves, a Timberwolves team who has, I think, just about everybody in their roster. They started their starting 5. They played Jalen Clark, who only got 11 minutes, who's been pretty hot. Naz Reid shot 7 for 11. So these guys are having good games. I mean, Randall had 26, 6 and 8. Ant had 26, 8 and 6 on 8 for 23 shooting. You did not allow Ant to hit a single 3. He went 0 for 8 from the three-point line. The defense struggled here and there. We did see certain lineups that Adelman hasn't played, which is Jokic and Valanciunas together, which I think is the first time this season we've seen it, if I'm not mistaken. But I do think that this team proves so much in this game that you're beating a top-tier team in the Western Conference. You're on a 6-0 run, and now you are winning games without 2 of your starters. One guy's out for 6 weeks, and you have a guy who can replace him, which they've never had. If you asked somebody to do that last year, it was going to have to be Strother. It was going to have to be Pickett, Hunter Tyson, Vlatko Čančar. Like, there was no legitimate player that could come in this past season and step up if Christian Brown went down for 6 weeks. And now you have Tim Hardaway Jr. Now you have Bruce Brown. I will always say I miss the player that Michael Porter Jr. was for this Denver Nuggets team. A guy who's going to give you 17, 18, and 8 or 9 rebounds. That kind of player is always needed, especially on the Nuggets team who have their quirks when it comes to shooting, and they don't rebound great. So losing that player was terrible, but being able to get that contract off the books and be able to pick up guys who are seasoned vets. And, I look at CT and Ryan Blackburn, two guys I always have their tweet notifications on during the games. And seeing CT say that, the one thing Denver always lacked, and I got into an argument with somebody the other day about Mike Malone not being a good coach. In my opinion, it's not just the coaching, right? I think that Calvin Booth wanted who he wanted to be played. Mike Malone didn't have this rotation. If you would have just got 2 seasoned vets last year and vet minimums, you were in a 10 times better situation this last year. You probably go to another championship instead of playing guys like Pickett. Russ, fine. I get you start Russ last year, but I think if you would have had Russ, if you were able to get a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., just that caliber of player, a seasoned vet. Look at Landry Shamet, just put up 30-something for the Knicks a few days ago. If you're able to get those kinds of players, the Nuggets go to the finals last year. All they needed was the depth. When somebody went down, they didn't have that. You could have brought Justin Holiday back. And I think that, like I said, that Calvin Booth was so egotistical that it was all his decision. But this year is Denver getting what they needed, which is just bench depth with veterans. And they're able to fucking win. Excuse my language. They're able to effing win. So finally winning games, 6-0 run. I think that they're legit. I think that this is the most legit team that we've seen in so long. And I'm super excited, especially when you have a guy like Nikola Jokic who you could just ride, who just got another triple-double. 27, 12, and 11, 8 for 15 shooting from the field, 3 for 6 from the three-point line, 8 for 8 from the free throw line, 1 block, 2 steals, and he also had a bad game. He had 6 turnovers. Another triple-double, and Denver's still winning, which is exactly why I'm saying they are officially a team that you cannot mess with. This is a team that is going to make a finals push this year. If they're able to, listen, the trade deadline is going to be tough, but let's say you trade a player like Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther, and Strawther had a tough game yesterday. 0 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists, played 6 minutes, went 0 for 2, and they took him out. It was minus 12 in the box score. Player I love, but I think that if you were able to package Peyton Watson, Strawther, somehow get Pickett and Tyson and Najee off this roster, which I doubt you'd move all of them, but if you're able to move 1 or 2 of them, and you're able to get a package where you get a guy like Terrence Mann, Sadiq Bey, and Jose Alvarado in a package, or you're able to take on a contract by shipping Zeke Najee, you're in the best position. But if you're able to ride out with Nikola Jokic as your top tier player on a 6-0 streak, and you're beating a legitimate contender in the Western Conference without 2 of your starters, this is the best position that we've seen Denver and Nikola Jokic in a long time. Nikola Jokic is having bad games like the 6 turnovers, and you're still able to win by a double-digit margin. We have not seen this from the Denver Nuggets in so long. Now they're going against a top tier in the Eastern Conference, which is top tier team in the Eastern Conference, which is funny to me because the Bulls were sort of a laughingstock. But last year, before all the trades and injuries, I actually said that they were my favorite to make the play-in. And this year we see them as a top team. I am so excited to watch Matas Buzelis versus Aaron Gordon. I think that is going to be the matchup of the game. I think that Matas is an all-around player, and I've loved him. I think that he's a top-tier player. And Kevin Huerter, I love seeing. Just he's my favorite player in the league. So that's not a nugget actually, or I guess Michael Porter Jr. But Kevin Huerter is a guy who I've been following for a while, and I love him. I love his jump shot. He's from New York, so I'm excited to see how he plays as well. But that is all I got for you guys. Good matchup coming up. Great win for the Denver Nuggets, and I will catch you guys next episode. Thank you guys for checking it out.